All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. My name is Donna Gasper-Jarvis, and I work in the UNE Office of Career Services. And we're really excited to be hosting today's alumni panel event. This is actually the third alumni panel that we've done this year within the College of Arts and Sciences. And it's been tremendously valuable, I think, to undergraduate students to be able to hear from some of their recent peers who are majors in the same program, talking a little bit about their career journey and the sorts of things that they did to get to where they are today. So thank you so much. I know some of you traveled a distance, some of you not so far, but we really appreciate you being here to share your insight and advice to our students. So today's event really was a huge collaboration amongst several departments. In addition to Career Services, we also had the Department of Environmental Studies, we also had the Alumni Advancement Office and the Sustainability Office. And really, Aletha Caridi did so much of the legwork in putting together the logistics for this and inviting our panelists here today. So we do want to make sure that we've captured who's in the room. There should be a sign-up sheet either going around or make sure that you sign it at the back before you leave. And I'm going to turn it over to Alethea to talk a little bit about the schedule and the program and what you can expect this afternoon. So thanks so much again for being here, and thanks again to Alethea for coordinating.
Thanks, Donna. Okay, so again, thank you all for being here. So the flow for the next couple of hours are going to be, we're going to have the panel here where all of our 9 alums are going to answer a few questions. And then we're going to have 2 breakout sessions. And so we've paired up some of the alums that have similar-ish sorts of careers, positions. And the rooms that they're going to that you can visit are in the program. And there's also some signs on each one of the doors. And so Alec and Sarah are going to be in room 210. And Kate Wheeler and Tyler Evans will be in room 207. And then Kate Ruby and Ryan will be in room 203. And Chelsea, Jordan, and Sam Hardy will be in room 205. And so during those breakout sessions, they'll have one, and then you'll have the opportunity to switch, and so that you can hear from at least 2 groups of the students. And that's where it can be a little bit more organic and free flow, and you can ask as many questions as you'd like, and they have some talking points that if conversation lags, that they can sort of fill in some details. And then after the 2 breakout sessions at 5 o'clock, we're going to adjourn to the first floor of the Danielle Ripich Commons and have a little wine and cheese reception. And that's another opportunity for you to network and mingle with our alums. So, with that being said, I'm going to ask Noah Perlett to come up and do a little introduction from Environmental Studies.
This is the weirdest moment right now. I hope that all of you are sitting here right now from both sides, you all with somewhat of an uncomfortable feeling. For this group being like, man, I kind of wish I was over there. And for this group to realize that we might be calling you next year or the year after, and yet you're gonna be here. And how amazing that is to see these guys and hear their earth-changing things that they're doing. And how I hope you guys realize how exciting it is. Whether you're studying glaciers or setting up fieldwork in education or teaching high school kids, this is the time to really sort of see the future, right? And how exciting that is. And importantly, you guys in our department, we have beat you over the head with this idea of interdisciplinary studies, right? Absolutely. I'm seeing some grimaces, yeah. And that's for a reason. And that's for a reason. And I think you're going to see that reflected today, the real value. And you can ask them, did I really need to take this class? Was that valuable for you since you're working in this different field? Those are important things to ask. So thank you all for being here on Friday afternoon. It's beautiful and sunny outside. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Olivia's going to introduce everybody.
Thanks. All right. So we have Alec, bachelor, and Alec is a teacher at, I'm going to mispronounce, Mascanana High School, teaching biology and environmental science, correct? Yes. And then we have Kate Wheeler next to him, environmental scientist and permitting specialist at TRC Environmental. And what does TRC stand for?
It actually stands for the Research Center, but that's way old, that's not applicable anymore.
Okay, so
Yeah.
TRC Environmental. And then Sam Hardy, who is an inspector with the Bureau of Health, Board of Health, I knew I was going to mess that up, in Burlington. And then Kate Hruby, who is in graduate school at UMO, studying as a research assistant and studying climate science?
Glaciers.
Glaciers, okay. Tyler Evans, associate scientist 2 at Weston Solutions, and local, Maine? Massachusetts, okay. And then Sarah Cowles is a 8th grade science teacher in Lewiston, Maine. And Ryan Kingston works for the New England Aquarium with the Live Blue program. And then Chelsea Mayo is the proposal analyst at Clear Result Consulting. And then Jordan Tate is the last panelist, and Jordan is an environmental analyst at McFarland Johnson recently.
Yes.
Yes, and she'll tell you more about that. And I think that I think it's safe to say for all of you up here that you've been somewhat strategic in where you've ended up so far, and or have a plan of where you're going next, and the experiences that you're trying to draw on from where you are right now. And I'm going to turn it over to Noah in a few minutes here, or actually right now, and you're going to start the moderation for the first set of questions, or do you want me to just keep going?
Go for it.
Okay. All right, so just to get the conversation going here, a little bit about the career journey in your own words, about how and why you decided on your major, some things maybe that you did or had the opportunity to experience while you were at UNE that sort of helped you out, and any circumstances or factors that got you to where you are today, so sort of serendipitous things that happened. So, Alec, you want to take it away, and we'll just go right down the line, and then we've got another question to continue the conversation.
Hello. So the reason I chose my major is in school and in my life, my favorite thing in the entire world is being outside, being outdoors. And when I was deciding to go to college, I really put that as the most important thing for me, was looking towards making sure that my kids and my kids' kids could enjoy nature and enjoy it the exact same way I was able to when I was a kid, and still am doing it. Some of the biggest things that prepared me for my graduation and getting out of here, and especially my career, was I had an opportunity to do 2 internships, which I would totally suggest everybody does. 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, however many you can while you're here. One of them was with Dr. Perlett, and another one working with bobolinks in Vermont, and that was field work, and that was something that I truly thought that I was very interested in, and it was an amazing experience, but it was one of the things that helped me define my career, as I didn't want to work in the field. So when I left there, I had an opportunity to go and work at the Wells Reserve, a few towns down, and I was helping build an environmental and ecology class outdoors, and that really solidified the fact that I wanted to do something with education, working with people, talking with people, and led to the career choices that I have. So the internships here, I mean, not only the classes, the teachers, the professors are amazing, but the 2 internships I had really, one helped solidify what I wanted to do, and one pushed me towards what I wanted to do. Both were incredible opportunities. And I'm a big talker, so I'm going to pass the mic. I'll keep talking.
I am not a big talker, so this will be short and sweet. I decided on environmental science. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after high school. It was between athletic trainer or environmental science, or even I thought maybe I would become a chef. But I'm glad I decided on environmental sciences because I don't really like touching people, so being an athletic trainer was out the window pretty quick. But I just knew that I liked to spend time outside and kind of alone by myself in the woods, so it was a good fit. And what I did at UNE that helped prepare for after graduation was studying abroad was huge. I think I did, in between my sophomore and junior year, I went to Kenya with Rick Peterson, and that was such a good opportunity to get outside my comfort zone, and you just don't have those opportunities after college to go to Kenya for weeks on end. So if you haven't missed that window already, I really suggest doing a study abroad. And then like Alex said, my internship, I worked with Biodiversity Research Institute in Gorham, and we did a lot of outreach and education, and I learned that I don't want to do outreach and education. So that was really helpful because I could have spent months after graduation thinking that's what I wanted to do. So it was really good, and it helped steer me in a direction for what I thought. And then as far as circumstances that helped shape my career decisions, it was basically just luck how I ended up at TRC right after graduation. I have 3 cousins who happen to work at TRC, and I had applied to honestly 50 places, and I didn't hear anything back after graduation, and so I begged my cousins to put a good word in with the boss, and I finally got an interview. So as prepared as you can be, sometimes it just comes down to sheer luck, so good luck.
So I decided to do environmental science because I had the opportunity to do an environmental science program in high school, and I just kind of fell in love with it. I love nature, I love the environment. I just wanted to know everything that I could about environmental. So I kind of knew exactly what I wanted to do when I came here, but I didn't know what career I wanted to do. I changed my mind about 800 times. I finally came down to what I thought was the one thing I was going to do, which was environmental health and safety. So, chemicals, safety, and lab work, and that kind of stuff. And I ended up applying to about 1 million jobs. It didn't work out, but I had an internship with the Board of Health in a town where I live in Massachusetts. I had been working there for 2 years, and that internship led me to be trained with the director at the Board of Health there, and she showed me, a complete different side of what I could have been doing, which was I started doing food inspections in restaurants, and that was, not exactly environmental related. I mean, partially it is because you're looking at food waste and composting, and all that is all, part of that job. But then I ended up actually applying randomly for a job at the Burlington Board of Health, and it was a full-time position, and I was like, perfect. And I didn't think I was going to get it. It was, really, really nerve-wracking. I had to go before the whole board and speak, and it was, really nerve-wracking, but they liked me, and now I work there, and I love it, and I do a lot more than just food inspections, but, it's housing inspections, environmental inspections, so it's not what I thought I was going to do, but I love it.
Hello, everyone. So I kind of to mirror everything that people have already said, is I really wanted to be outside. I was also really into environmental activism and sort of communicating the problems that we have today to a general public and a general audience, and so that really led me to environmental science and this department in this school. I am a West Coaster with all of my heart, so it was a bit of a big move to come over here, but it was great. And sort of contrary to what Alethea said, I don't really have a plan. I kind of just say yes to the opportunities that fall into my lap, but it's been treating me pretty great so far. So I would say that sort of the best thing that I learned from being here and being in this department is sort of a lot about myself and the things that I like to do and the things that I'm passionate about, and also just saying yes to everything and trying everything out. Even if I decide that I don't like it, it's a better experience to have tried it than to you know, say no and kind of be stuck in a limbo of like questioning whether I would have wanted to do that or not. And I think that this department was so instrumental in sort of being a community that I could find that out about myself in, that was really useful. And of course, I didn't realize any of this while I was still here. It was like the, you know, afterthought of like once I was, you know, floundering out in the world that I was like, oh yeah, wait, actually like uni was great for me. I learned a lot of good stuff. Yeah, so if you haven't found that yet, don't worry. It took me about 9 months to realize that about myself, so you still got time.
Hey guys, pretty much how and why I decided my major. I came into UNE as a physician assistant major, and then took an intro to environmental class, and for some reason that just clicked, and I fell in love with everything environmental, so I decided to pursue that, and sometimes things just happen like that. So what helped me prepare for after UNE, pretty much quantity of applications. Apply anywhere and everywhere. Take any internship you can, as everyone else has reiterated. It's one of those things where it's you just have to try out things you don't believe you'll like, because it'll surprise you. You will like something that you didn't think you would like. And any other factors, again, sometimes it's sheer luck, and it works out in your favor in the end. So, yeah.
So I decided on environmental science as a major because I was really into the Envirothon program in high school, which is sort of like mathletes but for outdoor nerds. And so because I was so into that, the college advisor at my high school was like, you should go major in environmental science, and so I majored in environmental science. And partway through my freshman year, I started thinking that I'd be interested in education. So during my time here at UNE, I tried to make sure that I had a rounded education, or relatively rounded education in the sciences, but also like took my education classes and got out there and did different education-related things. There were a couple of classes that I took while I was here that when I introduced myself, like on the first day of class, the professor was like, why are you here? Namely physics and comparative animal physiology. They were like, do you want to be a middle school science teacher? Why are you here? And it's like, but I want to be well-rounded. So I mean, really the circumstances, experiences, and other factors was just trying to get out there and experience as many things as I could, like multiple other people have said. I had multiple internships while I was here, got really involved with like Earth's Eco. It was a lot of fun.
All right, hello everyone. So why did I choose environmental science as my major is a great question. I actually had a defining moment while I was with family down in Florida. My grandparents have a condo down there, and after one season of really bad hurricanes, they were cleaning up, they were moving debris off the coastline, they were putting things in dumpsters and hauling it off to, you know, a landfill somewhere. And there were a lot of formative experience that led to that moment, but it was seeing this devastation that I realized we need to do something about this. So from there I started looking into what you can do in the environmental field and the sort of intersectionality of all these different issues and how they connect to environmental issues. So I entered UNE in environmental studies, eventually switched to science, picked up minors in biology and political science because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with environmental backgrounds, but I knew that all these things sort of mattered. So while at UNE, like a lot of folks I've referenced, it was just trying a lot of different things, taking classes that I wasn't sure I was going to need but seemed interesting at the time. It was working in the sustainability office on different events and coordination here. It was being part of Earth's Eco and helping out with event coordination like spring concert and things like that. So as graduation quickly approached, I realized that I didn't have a plan for afterwards and started just looking and applying to everything. I happened across Student Conservation Association. I highly recommend looking into that organization. They offer physicians and seasonal positions and internships to recent graduates, and it's sort of a common application type deal. So you do one application, apply to any and everything you can find under the sun. So I started there with a summer-long commitment doing park restoration with high school students in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So that was a really good entry-level experience into coordinating a team, coordinating students, and getting some background in environmental education. So from there, again, wasn't really sure what I was going to do next. Ended up working for a small environmental campaign down in Connecticut called Citizens Campaign for the Environment. So we knocked on doors trying to fundraise and collect signatures for local environmental issues. That involved driving out to the middle of the state in blizzards to get signatures to pass plastic bag bans, which is not fun, full disclosure, but really important work to try and pass those campaigns. So that experience led into another. I took a class here on, I forget the name of it, was like preparing conservation areas for a new era of climate change. I think Christine, if you're actually taught that class. And she heard of internship in DC with the National Wildlife Federation that was basically doing exactly what that class was about, you know, learning new conservation methods under an era of climate change. So I applied to that, had a lot of help from folks here at UNE to look over my resume and cover letter, and was lucky enough to land that year-long internship. So I was down in DC for a year. That was really where I wanted to end up, you know, the belly of the beast, kind of working on policy, working on advocacy. But while I was down there, Obama was in the White House, conservatives controlled both chambers of Congress, and the government shut down. And we were set back, you know, years of progress. So that to me was really frustrating. Even though it was what I wanted to do and I thought it was important, I couldn't get myself to stay in that. So I talked to some friends that were also from UNE, and they recommended some outdoor education work. A lot of folks in our department had, you know, gone into camps or informal education. So I did that for a couple seasons, which led me to the aquarium one summer. And I thought, great, I'll do the aquarium for 2 months and I'll move on to the next thing. 4 years later, I'm still there. I currently coordinate one of the volunteer programs that focuses on removing barriers to service. So we find that people all over the region want to volunteer to do something for the environment, but there are some barriers in place that prevent them from doing that. Maybe they don't know what the issues are that need to be addressed. Maybe they don't have a way of getting to a beach to clean it. Or maybe there's just, you know, other factors at play that keep them from volunteering. So we try to remove those barriers, try to find really easy to access projects for them, and get them outdoors to do something. Whether that's cleaning the coast, whether that's birding on our coastlines to identify species that we find in Boston, or, you know, just restoring native habitat and getting them to care about their local environment. So that's where I'm at now. As some folks have referenced, it's easy to say we have a plan, but some of it's winging it, and just hoping that kind of new connections form new opportunities. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Hey guys, so I graduated in 2010, so it's kind of blurry in terms of why I actually chose environmental studies. But when you actually were talking, Ryan, the reason I did was I did SCA in high school. Has anyone done SCA? Student Conservation Association? So in the high school level, they take you out in groups of like 5 to 10 people and you do trail work. Really gruesome, grueling, daunting, tiring trail work for 3 weeks. And then the last week is a rec trip. So I did it 2 summers, my junior year and then my senior year. 1 year was in Pennsylvania and the next year was in Alaska. And so that's kind of, the Pennsylvania actually was when I realized I definitely want to go into environmental studies. I want to learn about how people influence the environment and how the environment influences people. So I got to UNE, and in GLC, that was the first year they did economics and context. And so that's when I decided, and I don't know if you guys do that now, but that's when I realized economics is pretty cool. And it's kind of the devil's advocate to environmental studies. So I ended up getting a minor in economics. And then fast forward, I got an internship at the Ocean Energy Institute, which is actually no longer around. But that allowed me a little taste into doing reports and writing around energy and renewable energy specifically. From there, I went to DC. We kind of were there at the same time. And then Katie, actually, a little shout out, I went to Kenya with her too. So it's kind of fun for everyone to be back here right now. So I went to DC and I worked at the World Watch Institute, and I started as a climate and energy research intern. Realized I hated the nitty-gritty writing, like in the books, head down, not really talking to anyone, just doing the research. So I transitioned to development and worked there doing the foundation side grant writing. Worked there for a little over a year, and then in DC I started as an unpaid intern, so I was doing like house sitting on the side, babysitting, literally everything that you could do to survive in DC on an unpaid internship. And this is another example of you don't actually follow your plan. One of the kids that I babysat for, they needed a part-time nanny for 8 months. And so the pay was so good that I was like, and I was looking for a career change, that I was like, yep, I'm gonna quit World Watch after a little over a year working there, and I'm gonna babysit for 8 months and figure out what I wanna do next. Like really take those times that the little boy was taking naps to look online, figure out what I wanna do next. From there, I actually went back to Kenya for a short stint at a microfinance organization for 3 months. And I feel like, to piggyback on Katie's comment, those kind of experiences throw you into things that if you can get out of those, you're good. You can do anything. So I really urge any sort of things that push you out of your comfort zone to take advantage of them, especially under the guidance of someone like Rick Peterson for that example. It gives you the tools to be able to do it on your own once you're actually out on your own. So then from there, again, the whole winging it and trying to figure out what do you want to do for a job and for income. I did freelance grant writing. Again, I've graduated for a long time and it's like a blur at this point. I did freelance grant writing through an online site called Odesk, or Upwork. It's now Upwork. So that's a pretty cool spot because it really allows you to, and I was making like low, like $10 an hour, $7 an hour, just to start getting work. And then from there, as people were giving me references, I was able to up my pay and up my hourly rate. But again, it's, as if anyone knows, freelance work is completely unreliable. You have no idea when your next paycheck is coming, anything like that. But great thing about that was I worked with a construction and design company. I was writing grants. I worked specifically with a construction and design company that was applying for grants to put solar panels on a winery in California and a aquaponics farm in Hawaii. And those were federally funded grant opportunities. And so I applied for those and I won them. And that's when I realized, I actually have an idea of what I'm doing apparently. Like I'm doing something right. And so that is when I realized there's this whole sector out there, proposal writing, proposal analysts, proposal managers, for many, many different companies, not just nonprofit, which is also great. That's where I got my feet wet at World Watch. But then on the for-profit side, there's bids that need to be written for whatever the company is selling. And so I'll go into that later, but that's the convoluted roundabout way that I got to where I am. But I think one of the most transformational things for me was the minor in economics that I got that really, really supported the environmental study classes that I did. So.
Hi, I'm Jordan, and I am different from everyone here because I was very stubborn in what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to go into environmental science in college kind of from the very beginning, but in high school I had this idea of environmental science or zoology because I loved wildlife. I just grew up watching wildlife and trying to experience it. So I thought environmental science is more practical, there's more I can do with it. And it was when I started taking a lot of ecology classes, avian ecology, terrestrial wildlife and ecology, and getting outside that I realized, oh hey, wildlife management is a thing and I kind of really like it. So from there, once I realized more specifically what I wanted to do, I used my passions and searched for opportunities while in school to apply them. So I had an internship at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service at Rachel Carson down the road. And that was really impactful while I was here at UNE, and I also worked in the sustainability office for a few years, and that helped really cultivate my kind of desire to write. So I had these two sides of me. One, I love to be out in the field, and I love to be, getting my hands dirty, doing that work, but I also really liked writing, and I really liked putting together documents. So I had my mind made up that that's kind of what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what kind of jobs there were. So when I graduated school, I had one opportunity. I had applied and applied and applied. I knew that I wanted to stay either like in New England or in Maine. I didn't want something temporary. There's no way I wanted to move back home, but both those things happened. I was an environmental steward in Freeport, Maine, doing some of that, very gruesome trail work and doing some environmental education. And halfway through that, I got a job as an environmental technician at a pretty big consulting firm that took me all over New England, Pennsylvania, Virginia, doing all different kinds of things, but I knew that the stability wasn't really what I wanted. So again, I just kind of kept my head down, plugged away. And another thing that was really impactful is that I just wanted to keep learning and keep doing. And there's so many competitive non-paid internships that I just couldn't do, so I'm like, I'm gonna volunteer. And I go on my town website when I move back home, like, oh hey, they have a conservation commission. Oh hey, they're taking applications. And turns out it was brand new, so it was this kind of wild frontier that I got to explore as it was developing. And I'm the chair of that commission today, and I do some grant work, which I never thought I would do. So even though I was really stubborn in what I wanted to do, where I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it for my career, it was the things I didn't plan on, like volunteering and internships, that really kind of opened my mind up to different possibilities. And now I got a new job recently that I'm really in love with, and it does have components of field work, doing wetlands delineations, biological assessments, and I do environmental documentation for big federally funded projects, state funded projects, like NEPA documentation is primarily what I'm working on, but environmental permitting. So yeah, I'm loving where I'm at right now, and I guess perseverance and volunteering were really, impactful to where I am today.
Thank you guys very much. We're actually gonna maybe go back in reverse order, and I'm gonna ask
Like the
one.
wave.
Yep, yeah, exactly, like the wave. And I'm gonna jump to the third question that Donna had prepared for everybody, because we're running out of time, and I know that we want to get to the breakout sessions, and all of our students will be able to hear a little bit more in depth about the specific experiences that you had in college and after college that led you to where you are now. But just real briefly, could you give a quick description of what a good day at work looks like for you? So sort of like your highs on your great day, what is it that you're doing and why are you loving it so much?
Okay, so I've been at my new job for about 4 weeks, and my favorite thing, and which is usually a good day, is that I'm really passionate about the work that I'm doing, but I'm also, decently knowledgeable. And they trust me they say, hey, I need you to do this, figure this out, and I get to take a project and tackle it all on my own. And the fact that, I get to do the research and the writing and the preparation, and they trust me to do that, I guess is really what's so rewarding, is that I'm part of a team, and we're all working towards a common goal of figuring out this permit or this, special endangered species regulation. So that's my best day at work, is being part of a team and the trust that team has.
So to give you guys a little background on my job, so as a proposal analyst at Clear Result, we implement energy efficiency programs on the utility level all across North America, across the United States and Canada. I am located in Biddeford, Maine, completely remote, and so I basically just phone in to whatever that local program team is that is either going to potentially implement this program or already implements it and they want to rebid on it to keep winning the work. So I think the aspects of my job, these are two questions and they're very different for me. So what does a good day at work look like to you? For me, it's people are attending the meetings that I schedule that are all virtual and online through Skype. They are providing subject matter expertise, so if there's engineers on there, there's program directors, there's national service line folks on there that can tell me across our company, this is our capabilities. Everyone's on there collaborating, brainstorming, and giving new ideas on this particular bid on how we can win it. That's a really great day for me. Aspects of my job that's super rewarding is it's really neat to be at that 60,000 foot level. So energy efficiency programs on the utility levels are basically mandated by the Public Utilities Commissions in each of those states. And in Canada, we also work in Canada. And so it's really neat to see how each of those states function and how the utilities are motivated to do energy efficiency programs. And to give you a quick example, right now I'm writing a proposal for the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change in Canada. We're bidding on work there. And normally we talk about our energy savings and our electricity and our therm savings and what we can do for that utility in saving them energy use, basically. In Canada, they don't want to know that as much. They want to know what the greenhouse gas emission reductions are. And so our company right now is figuring out, okay, how do we measure that? We're not very fluent in doing that because we majority work in the US market. So it's responding to the market influences for each of the states or countries that we're working in. And to me, that's super rewarding. And frankly, I don't ever really realize it until I have to talk about it to other people. It's like, wow, this is pretty cool, I'm learning a lot. And I think that's probably the most rewarding thing for my job.
All right, so this is kind of a tough question. So I've been in my current job for about 2 years, and this program's only been around for about 4 years. And there are no other user aquariums that have a volunteer program like this one. So what I find the most rewarding about this job is discovering new ways to run this program and sort of identifying ways to improve it and get more people outdoors. But I can give an example of what a good day at work looks like. Basically, I'll work hard to get 50 or so volunteers to clean up an island in Boston Harbor. And when you get those 50 people out there, they're having an impact, and it's hard to put into numbers what that impact is. But the stories that come out of it are often the most satisfying. So we had somebody in Boston for the summer from India who was just there for vacation or a temporary job, and she wrote us a page-long email saying how great it was to be outdoors and to see how people here in Boston cared about their local environment, and seeing her fellow volunteers out there really working hard and really being passionate about caring for their local harbor. And she was really looking forward to bringing that energy and passion back to her home in India. So at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is keeping that momentum going and getting more people to care and getting more people activated to care for their environment. So when that happens, I think that's the most satisfying, most rewarding for me.
As a teacher, the thing that I find most rewarding is the aha moment. Whether a student's been working towards it for 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 weeks, when you see it click and they start to be able to apply material and start to be able to tie it to other things that they've learned previously, that just sends me right up to the top of the world. I'm incredibly happy. And as a middle school teacher, honestly, I have to decide that every day is a good day, because every day something happens that's awful. A student says something, a student does something, a fight breaks out in the hall, a kid forgets X, Y, or Z thing. Something happens every day that could absolutely derail the day if I let it. But I have to look for the good in every day, whether it's a very middle school joke or whether it's something that a student did or a aha moment that a student had. So every day is a good day.
So a little bit of background of what I do. I'm a contractor, and right now I'm going to the Boston EPA office working on the hurricane relief efforts of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So what a good day is for me is to make sure that all of the responders going down through the EPA have the right equipment, all their logistics, flight, travel are all set, good to go, and I get to write these reports for the higher-ups in the EPA to make sure they understand the situation that goes on, that is going on in Puerto Rico and the USVI. So it's very rewarding, the fact that I get to present the accomplishments that are happening throughout the area and the hurricane relief efforts.
So I spend most of my days building computer models about glaciers and sort of what glaciers will look like if you change temperatures and things like that. So usually a good day involves not getting an error message back from my model. Those are actually pretty fantastic days. But sort of on the other side of things, there's kind of two other great things about my current job, and one of them is Things like getting somebody else to pay for a plane ticket to go camp on a glacier for 2 weeks this summer. I'm pretty stoked about that. That happened yesterday. And also just sort of constantly being in an environment where you're learning something new and you're inspired to do something new and just be really nerdy about all of these topics that have never crossed your plate before, which happens to me on a regular basis. I, get to go to talks and meet cool people of, who are experts in everything from like asteroids to sea level rise, and just sort of being in that environment is so, like, it's a playground for my brain, and that's great.
So my career is based around public health, so I think one of the best things about my job is that I get to help keep people safe and healthy, whether they know it or not. Most people don't even know what the health inspector does. So that's kind of, one of the best things is knowing that, people are going to be healthy, and we do a lot of outreach, and we do health fairs, and so we get, people in contact with the right people, so they can have, medical. It's all, really rewarding to know that people are healthy and safe. And another great thing that I'm currently working on is we just passed a bunch of regulations on tobacco and e-cigarettes because I did a bunch of research and did a presentation for the board, and we finally, just recently passed a lot of regulations, so now I get to go out and do inspections and enforce those regulations, so we, keeping the youth safe from, nicotine and all that. So, I mean, it's just really rewarding to know that you're helping people. And I guess a good day at work for me is going out on inspections, not having to sit in the office all day. I get to go outside and, drive around, and I get to meet new people, and it's a lot. I learn a lot from people, and also, getting to teach people and show them what they're supposed to be doing, and just give the give and take, and really just getting to know new people is really great for me.
So I didn't explain what I do, but I'm sorry. I work at TRC Environmental, and we do a lot of consulting. So we do a lot of permitting and field work, wetland delineations, threatened and endangered species surveys, and then on the backside we do all of the permitting for our clients, state and federal permitting. So the job I have right now has transitioned a lot in the 5 years that I've been there. When I started, I was doing all field work 100% of the time, so wetland delineations, and then threatened and endangered species surveys, and it was all over the country, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, everywhere, because TRC does a lot of work with wind and solar transmission lines, but I work on the dreaded pipelines. So I go all over the place, which is mostly in the Midwest. But what's most rewarding for the fieldwork aspect of my job is just being outside and learning and seeing new things every day. And then on the back end of it, the permitting side, what's most rewarding is educating our clients on why we have to get these permits, why it's important. And a lot of the pipeliners that I work with are straight out of Houston, and they just have no idea about, they don't know, they don't care, because they haven't had the education for wetlands or rare and endangered species or anything. And so I think it's especially rewarding to be able to teach other people who work in the gas industry why it's important. And I think that if they have a better understanding, then they definitely take it more into consideration for projects that we're working on now and as they move on with other projects.
Teacher, high school. My favorite part of my job, or what is a good day at work like to you? A good day at work for me is I actually love my job so much, and every day is a good day. Especially because I have students that are are waiting outside my door before I get there in the morning, and then I have students that stay there and keep me there until like 3:30 or 4 o'clock every single day, because they want to discuss what we talked about in class, or they want to discuss environmental issues, or they want to discuss what evolution is, or they want to discuss what we're talking about. And for me, that's like the most amazing thing is I have kids that get there before I do and leave before, or don't want to leave even when I want to leave. And it kind of makes the job a little harder, but that's an amazing thing. I love my job for that. What aspects of the job are the most rewarding to me? Because of that happening, this is my first year at this school I'm working at, and my department head came up to me and asked me, you do such good work with the kids who are struggling in school. Can you design a class for next year that is science and has labs in it? And she said to me, you're going to have all the harder kids to work with, which I love working with those kids. Those are the kids who are there in the morning and they're after school. And she said, I don't care what the class is about. Just find a class, teach a class that works with those kids. So I've actually gotten to work with some of the environmental teachers in my school to design a class that looks at environmentalism and looks at our impact on the future. And I'm going to get to work with these kids who are the harder kids to work with. And for me, that's been the most amazing thing is that my department head in my first year came up to me and asked me to design a class. So I love my job.
Thank you guys all very much. We're gonna give a little round of applause and then we're gonna move on to the second portion of the program with the breakout session. So thank you.